live. Usually takes a second. Waiting. Twirling. Could have been live already. Always takes a minute for it to say that you are going live, but then like it already starts, and so you just gotta like be ready. But okay, so I want to talk about how I know that I'm right on the cusp of a six-figure month, even though my sales have dipped. And there's like so many reasons behind this, and I want to talk about so many things. And it's all around the same thing. So I'll try not to squirrel brain a little bit too much, but I feel like everything is connected to everything. So, and by the way, look at this. Like, I have this new virtual whiteboard that I'm using to teach with my YouTube videos. Like, how crazy is this? Like, when I started my business just about 2 years ago now, I started with a whiteboard and a marker, and I was writing on a whiteboard. And now I have a virtual whiteboard behind me in this beautiful office, like in a house that I own, as opposed to a place that I was renting. Like, oh my gosh, like sometimes we forget, where we come from is where we're going. And that's why we need some perspective in our life, which I want to talk about a little bit about that too. But anyway, also where we come from, I feel like this is like, I don't know, my hair, my look right now, I feel like it's a little bit like 90s girl or something. I'm not sure, but I'm digging it and we're going for it. So anyway, I'm in the process of growing out the hairs. I need this hair in the front to be as long enough to pull it all the way in the back. I can't quite get all of it into a ponytail yet. I still have my shaved sides, but I'm just trying to grow out the mohawk. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the business and where I'm at like right now, and how I know that I'm on the verge of a six-figure month, even though my numbers have dropped. That's actually an indication to me that I am on the verge of a six-figure month. When you think about like shooting an arrow, for instance, like, so let's say I shot the arrow of, I want to hit multiple five figures in my business. Like that was one of the last things that I had said, okay, I want multiple five figures in my business. And I had 20,000 months, and then I had 30,000 months, and then I had 40,000 months, and then I had 50,000 months, and then I had a 60,000 month. And it was and I had like a couple of 20s, a couple of 30s. Okay. So, but anyway, those were the set numbers. And then I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm ready for six figures. Like I'm ready to hit the six-figure mark. I don't need a 70 or an 80 or a 90. I can shoot right to the 100. I'm ready for six figures in my business. And so if I think about, like, I shot off an arrow to head into the multiple five figures, that arrow is going to drop and go down. And then I'm ready to shoot the next arrow of, I'm going to hit the mark of $100,000. So it doesn't freak me out that like November dipped. So November is more like a $50,000 month, when I just last month had 60. So we're roughly like $10,000 less, which to some of you is like, if I could just have $10,000 a month, that would blow my freaking mind. And I'm like, yeah, my business dropped $10,000. Like that's perspective. Like 2 years ago, or even like the first few months of my business, I remember when I hit $7,000 in a month. So $7,000 in 30 days. And it blew my mind. I was like, holy shit, I made $7,000 in 1 month. And now it's like, that's what I make in a week. Like, yeah, I make $7,000 a week. Like your perspective and your shift changes. Now, one of the things though, even getting to that 7,000, even getting to the 30,000, the $40,000 months, and for me, like, yes, it's about the impact. I talk about income a lot because that's where we are so focused on money without realizing it. Like every decision we make is based on how much money you have. So this is why I like to talk about money, because what do I want to eat today? Depends on how much money I have. Where do I want to go today? Depends on how much money I have. My friend invited me to Hawaii. Can I go? Depends on how much money I have. Like everything about our lives is dictated by how much money we have, if we have the freedom to do what we want to do, or if we're making choices based on the amount of money. So I focus on money and I talk about money for that reason alone, because it also draws the attention to people who are trying to get more freedom in their life. But at the end of the day, it's about the impact. I just had an email this morning from a person who said, God sent you my way so I could pass this exam as a single parent. I'm ready to have a better career, a better job, make more money for my kids. And like, that's the kind of impact that I have. Now think about that. If I help this, and this is not just the first person who's like, I've helped thousands of people get into the insurance career field, which is an amazing place to be, even if it's just a W-2 job where they're making like, $20 an hour. That is far better than a lot of people out there who are making less than that. But you can make $100,000, $200,000 in the insurance industry. I've seen multiple six-figure agents, but my point is that I have helped many people, and when I focus on the impact over the income, it's crazy. So like, I've had one of the YouTube comments I had that was so near and dear to my heart was, I watched your YouTube videos while I was taking care of my newborn baby, and I was able to pass the exam, and I'm getting job offers for more money than I have ever seen in my life. And it was like so amazing, especially now that I have a baby of my own. I'm like, oh my gosh, like how I can't imagine having to raise a baby and struggle with money at the same time. Like that would be, and I'm not in that position. I didn't want to have a baby until I could be in a place to have that happen. And like the universe made that all, work out. So anyway, I talk about money a lot because this is where we're all at a starting point. I needed to be able to make more money in my life, and most people need to be able. And it's not even about the money. Again, it's about the impact, not just the impact on other people, but the impact in my own life. The fact that I can have a baby and not worry about money, that I can hire a nanny, that my husband doesn't, or not husband yet, but that he doesn't have to go to work, right? Like it's just me on the video camera talking. Like that's how we fund everything that we do. Think about that impact. Like that impact is crazy. And it started with my business, being able to do my business. So anyway, what was I talking about? So this is why I talk about money a lot. So we're talking about money. And when I started my business, it was like $220 in the first month. How many people would have quit? How many people said, this is not working, I only made $220, I'm quitting? And if they had just known that in like 3 or 4 months from there, you'd be making $7,000 that month, and then a little, 3 or 4 months later, you'd be making $20,000 a month, you wouldn't know that if you quit when you only made $220, right? So I made $220 in my first month, and I was charging $33 an hour. Like at best, I could have made $50,000 a year if I stayed in that path, or maybe a little bit more if I was willing to work a lot more hours. But I started, where we start is not where we end. Where we start is not where we end. A lot of people say, I want a business of my dreams that's going to give me all this freedom, and I get to do whatever I want. And when you don't get that in the first month, you're like, it's over, it's done, it's a failure, I'm walking away. And we give up on what it is that we want. So you gotta give it some time. Like right now I'm teaching people in the method class. So, some people wanted to join me on my journey and do what I was doing. Hi, Jordan. Hi, Luna. Do what I was doing, starting a YouTube channel, starting a Facebook group. Like that's literally all I did. I started a free YouTube channel. I started a free Facebook group, and I just started putting myself out there, teaching on the videos, letting people know I was available for tutoring. And then I started tutoring at $33 an hour, and I made $220 in my first month. Okay. I can't wait till I say I made 220,000 in my first month. Like maybe that's my first 6-figure month. Like maybe my first 6-figure month is 220,000. Like wouldn't that just be epic? And I'm so open for it. I'm cool with that. So anyway, if I had given up at $220, like I wouldn't be where I am today. Like we have to give things time. We have to accept that we're babies. That's what I'm doing in the method class. I say, you're a baby. You're a baby at starting a YouTube channel. You're a baby at doing a Facebook group. You're a baby at charging people sales. Let it be messy. Okay. Like I've been watching my baby. She's been working up to trying to get to a crawl. She's like on her belly. She's wiggling around. Like the poor girl can't, like, can you imagine like actually being a baby in this big old world? Like you can't do anything. You have to rely on someone else to pick you up, to put you somewhere else, to feed you. Like when we're starting a business or we're doing what it is that we want the universe to do, we have to trust that we're a baby and the universe is going to pick us up. They're going to take care of us. Stop screaming and yelling about it. Just trust, just lay back and trust. Okay. But anyway, a baby is going to it's messy. It's not perfect. She's going to have to shake on her knees and her hands a little bit. She's going to get frustrated. She's going to have a hard time, but that doesn't mean that she's not going to crawl. Could you imagine if babies gave up when it got frustrated and they just stayed as like, I'm never going to crawl. I'm never going to walk. I'm just going to do this because the first time I tried it didn't work. Like, could you imagine if babies had that? And we have that about what it is that we want in our life. Whatever goal or desire it is that we have, and we start going for it, it gets a little bit hard and we're like, well, I can't do it. Be a baby. A baby is young, doesn't know anything, is all messy, and keeps going. She keeps going. She's not going to stop until she crawls. And then when she crawls, she's not going to stop until she can pull herself up. And that's going to be frustrating. And she's going to fall sometimes. And she's going to hit her head sometimes. But she's going to keep going until she can pull herself up. And then she's going to start walking. And she's going to fall sometimes. And she's going to trip sometimes. And she might hit her head sometimes. But you think that's going to stop her from wanting to walk? No, she's going to keep going until she's walking, until she's running, until she's soaring, until she's taking off. Like, we have to have that. We have to have baby level tenacity to keep going at whatever it is that we want for our life. And that's what I had with my business. Even though it's $220 in that first month, I'm like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. But during that journey, because of our relationships with money and because of what we experienced in our life, I struggled. Like, there were many times that I was worried about money and worried if sales would continue to come in or grow to be enough of what I needed. And there were desperate moments. There were desperate times. And when I think like this is, it's just so crazy. Like, guys, if you, women, people, whatever the right word is, folks, listen, it wasn't but like 2020. Okay. 2020, really 2020, 3 years ago, November 2020, I got married to a person I am no longer married to. But I was a brand new newlywed, having our first Thanksgiving. And if I don't know how much detail I need to go into, but I found out when you're brand new, just married, so excited. And let's not forget how public I was about meeting a person and getting married within, getting engaged within 3 days and then married within 3 months. And no part of that journey do I regret. But let me tell you, sitting back there, how embarrassed I was that I had just gotten married after a 3-day engagement. I was married for 3 months and then I found out what had happened. Oh, like, to imagine that that's where I was just 3 years ago. What happened was I found out that my partner had engaged in activities with other people without using any sort of protection. Like, oh my God, I can truly laugh about it now, but oh my gosh, that was one of the worst experiences of my life. Like, finding out as a newly, and not just that there was, I could have been sick. Like, I don't even know how to explain this on video. He engaged in intimate activities with other people. He had a physical rash, something on his body. And because of the type of physical activities he chose to engage in through the back door, it was possible that I now had potentially been exposed to, say, HIV or something. So I'm a brand new newlywed sitting here with my partner who I just got married to and told the world that I madly in love with this person and that we just got married after 3 days and 3 months, engaged in 3 days and three days months later. And I found out that I could have HIV for the rest of my life because of what he chose to do right before we got married. And I didn't find out about it until there's like physical evidence on his body that something clearly happened. And the entire Thanksgiving was just horrific. Like, we found out on Thanksgiving Day or the day before. I don't remember exactly. That was a haze for me. But it was one of the worst Thanksgiving I could say in my whole life. And then after this huge emotional turmoil that him and I went through, he's like, I want you to cook Thanksgiving. And I'm like, okay, like, I got to cook a whole goddamn dinner, turkey and all the stuff. And we ended up doing it together. And there was a lot of forgiveness that happened. I mean, I have made a lot of mistakes in my life and I have made some very stupid choices. And I know that if I had done something like that, I would I would want my partner not to hate me. And that was pretty much where I chose to operate at. And then we started putting in some boundaries and ultimately it didn't work out, which was for my benefit. But if I had quit, if that experience had made me quit trying to love someone, if that experience made me quit trying to have a partnership, if that experience, made Thanksgiving awful for me, like, we have to keep going. We have to keep going. There is something better on the other side. And now 3 years later, I just had the most wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm in a house that I own. My whole family came here to hang out with us. We had a beautiful dinner. We even had Christmas because the whole family was here. It was the most magical time. So 3 years ago, I had one of the worst Thanksgivings of my life. And now I look at today and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had the most amazing Thanksgiving. There are always going to be lows, but there will always be highs as well. And if we can ride out the lows, we can get to the highs. And honestly, the lower the low, the higher the high. What I mean by that is we have to see the beauty in the ugly. We have to see the beauty in the ugly. And we have to see negative things as not negative things. They, like sadness, we tend to think of sadness as negative. It's not negative because sadness is teaching you the beauty of love. Sadness is teaching you the beauty of beauty. Sadness is teaching you so many different things. What is the truth? Who says this? Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg says, what is the truth without a little lie? Like the truth wouldn't mean anything if we didn't have a lie. The truth would just be what it is. It would just be baseline. You know what I mean? Like the more pain you can experience, the more pleasure you can experience, right? And what I mean by that is like, I have this beautiful, healthy baby, and she's absolutely amazing. And I watched this TV show where this mother has a special needs son. He can't really walk or talk. He's like 4 years old, and she carries him around in like a basket, and they're like traveling and canoeing and doing all these things. And I'm like, my heart is just so broken for this family whose child can't walk, can't talk, is sitting in a basket, and they're having a good time. They're figuring it out. They're still canoeing. But like for me, I get to see the beauty. Like I get to look at my child who is on the working towards crawling to walking. There's, as of right now, there is nothing that would indicate that she would not be able to walk or talk. She doesn't have a diagnosis. She doesn't have a hereditary gene that is preventing her from doing the things that I would would assume my child is going to do. I can see the beauty in the ugly in that moment, seeing that mother go through that experience. And how devastating it would be to get, a diagnosis that your kid isn't going to walk or talk. Now that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that kid, but we know that we hold the expectation that we're going to have children who can walk and talk and run and have fun with us and live their life. The world is not set up in a peaceful way to handle people who don't walk and talk and just have a beautiful life. Talk about accessibility, but the beauty in the ugly. Okay. Like for instance, we forget how abundant we are. We forget how much we have. And we talk about like, it was, kind of a joke when we were younger, right? Like you need to eat your food because there's kids in Africa starving. And I remember hearing that all the time. And David even jokes about, yeah, well, let me ship them my food. But literally, we have food. We have food. Do you understand? Like the fact that you can read makes you in like the top 5, I think it's like 20 to 5% of the population. Do you know how many people cannot read? What does reading do for us? Reading allows us to learn, to grow. The fact if you are watching me right now, you have internet, you have a phone, you have ability to connect with other people around the world. Like that puts you in like the top 10% of the entire population. We are so closed-minded to like where we're at and what is going on in our life that we fail to have gratitude for where we're at and what is going on in our life. Like we are so blessed beyond belief. If you are able to listen to me on this video, you are blessed beyond belief compared to the majority of the population on this planet. Like that one comedy video, you think you're in America? Zoom out. This world is huge and you are but a tiny, teeny grain of sand on it. And you are living an experience where you're able to watch somebody talk to you on a screen in another state, in another time zone, and yet you're hearing from me live right now. And you're ungrateful? For what? Instead of thinking about the lack of what you don't have, think of what you do have. Think of what you do have. I do have. I could look at all the problems. I'm in it's a double wide trailer. Technically, it's not a trailer. It's I don't know, modular. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's not a stick built home. Okay. And it means that it has issues. Like there's a big piece of metal thing in the floor and it kind of creaks sometimes. I could be complaining about the creak in my house. I could be focused on the fact that there's a creak and that every time I walk on that creak, I'm creaking the floor. Or I can be like, look at this new flooring. Look at how clean we're able to keep the floor for our daughter because we have a freaking vacuum. There are people who live on a dirt floor. Okay, there are people who live on a dirt floor, and it wasn't that long ago that our own family was living on a dirt floor. Like, hello, wake up. We are so abundant. We have so much around us, and we focus so much more on what we don't have. We focus so much on the things that are hurting or painful instead of looking at what we do have. Like, I get it. I'm coming from a severe place of privilege. I could be complaining about how cricky my back is. I swear, 35 years old, having a child, like my body is crickety. Like I lay in bed and I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm so stiff. And instead of complaining about it, I'm starting to do stretches. I turn on the YouTube, I watch a 20-minute stretch video and I'm like, I have a body. I have a body. I could be complaining about how much pain it's in. I could be complaining about how my muscles are all stiff. But instead, I just turn on a stretch video and I'm stretching out my body. And I'm grateful that I have a body. I'm grateful that I have my legs. I'm grateful that I have my arms. And I'm able to use my body. But I could be sitting about how awful it is. And I could be complaining about how fat it is. And I could be complaining about how sweaty it is. And I can be complaining about how hairy it is. Okay? I have a body. Like that we focus so much on what's wrong. We focus so much on what's bad that we can't see what's right in front of us. And your bad really isn't even that bad. And I don't mean that to diminish what you're going through, but perspective matters. Perspective matters. Okay? And in the moment when someone is hurting, I'm not saying go to them, well, it could be worse. That's not what I'm recommending. I'm talking about you and your mindset and you living your life, okay? So don't say what I'm saying and try to, well, she's sad. I'm not going to go up to a person who's having a hard time and crying and in their feelings and in their emotions that, well, there's kids in Africa starving. In fact, there's kids in America starving, by the way. There's kids everywhere starving. We need to take care more of our people. But anyway, I'm not going to tell that to a person who's up in their feelings. But what I'm talking about is you talking to you on a daily basis. Are you looking at what is good or are you looking at what is bad? You get to choose. You get to choose. And the more you focus on what is going good, the more gooder things get because you're literally seeking them out. You're literally seeking them out. Okay. But anyway, so my money dipped, my income dipped. Okay. So, and I think like November's kind of normal with that. But in the past, when I had money dips I said a year ago, we were at desperate times. It wasn't but a year ago. David and I, my new David, if you've been with me long enough, you know that the last two men I have with are named David. But anyway, David Hathaway and I, we were living in an Airbnb when we first got started. He had a home, the home that we're in right now, but he was renting it out. And I had a condo in Vegas. If she's hungry, you can bring her here. Okay, thank you. See, look how blessed and privileged I am. Someone's taking care and rocking my baby and having a good time with my baby. And she's right around the corner. Like, I'm so blessed and privileged to be able to have that in my life. And I think about that instead of something else that could be bad. Anyway, we were in desperate times. I had an Airbnb that we were paying for, and because it was we thought about maybe staying there a little bit longer, but it was quite a bit of money to stay there long term because those Airbnb rates. He didn't have, so he was renting his house out. So he didn't have this house. He was staying in a house that was being remodeled, but it was like we maybe should have just torn it down instead of remodeled it kind of situation. Like when I came into what was his bedroom for the first time and I saw his bed and there was a piece of mouse poop on it, this is what he was living in. Okay. And I had a condo in Vegas that I still had to continue to pay for because I had a lease. I couldn't just let it go. But I didn't want to be there anymore. I was so done with being in Vegas. I wanted my life of freedom, and I just went out and I was like, I've been making enough money in my business that I can get an Airbnb. So then I get an Airbnb, and it was at this Airbnb that I had one of the most amazing like epiphanies ever about getting my business started. I was having such a hard time with the way that my business had been set up because I did it based on what I thought could make money. So like one-on-one tutoring at like $33 an hour. That's what I started at. And then I started charging $55 an hour because I could only get so much done for $33 an hour. And it was starting to wear on me, and it was too much. Like, I'm like, God, I'm doing all of this for $33 an hour, and I have to keep track of the schedule. Like, that's when you know you need to start charging more. You're not receiving enough money back for the impact you're putting out. So then we come up, and at this point now I am also selling like videos, one-off videos. Like, this class is on homeowners, this class is on auto insurance, and then I bundled them all together. But they were just, you could just buy a bunch of videos from me. And then I was like, well, I need more. I need to be able to make more money to come in, to truly, you know, like, I know, like, it's so crazy. It's going to sound so privileged of me, but I remember when I was like, Christine, when my business coach is Christine, I'm like, if I could just make 5,000 a month, everything would be wonderful. And then like a few months later, Christine, if I could just make 10,000 a month, everything would be perfect. And then like a few months later, Christine, I need to make 30,000 now. Like, it is so crazy how your perspective changes. My perspective has changed so much. You can never get me to go back to the perspective of making 60,000 a year. I'll never go back there again. I'm much more happy to stay in my perspective of 60,000 a month. Thank you very much. But anyway, what was I talking about? I was making I was making like, I think around $200 a day selling my videos. And so I wanted another way to make money. And so we came up with the option of doing one-on-ones, like selling a package to a person. And even the story about how that happened is crazy. This woman said, I will, and this is another example of how the money situation works, is the first invitation of what it is that you want in your life isn't necessarily the thing. It's the invitation to begin feeling that thing. Okay, so hopefully I don't lose my point, but I trust that it's going to come back. Okay, when you want to manifest, like, let's say the love of your life, okay? And you go on a date, you find somebody to date, and they're like, and you hit it off, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is going to be it. And then like 3 days later, you've never heard from that person again. Like, it's just completely over. You have a choice. You have a choice of saying, see, I knew this was never going to work out. I knew I shouldn't go back out there. I knew I shouldn't date people. Or you have the choice of, okay, let's do it again. That was better than the last time. That guy hit it off based on this, and this. Last time I only hit it off based on that and that. So I'm getting better. The dating situation is happening better. So I'm going to do it again. And then I meet another person, and it's those people that you're meeting along the way to the one that you want to be with are not instances of how it's not working. They are instances of how it is working. And in order to bring to us what it is that we want, we have to feel the feelings of having that now. Well, how do you do that? You have moments of feeling it. So if I meet a person, we hit it off, and I'm getting all excited, and I'm getting all like, oh my God, I'm going to meet this new person. They seem so amazing. We were laughing. We're having such a good time. Okay. And then we meet up with them, and we have a good time. What are we feeling? We're feeling excited. We're feeling love. We're shooting off the gases and the pheromones of universe. Bring me the love of my life. And they might be here right now. Oh my God. Like that feeling is now being emitted into the universe. And then you have, that's your first dose of tasting it. Okay. And then it may not work with that person. Let it not work with that person, because that means you're going to get to an even better person. Like, trust that what you're losing is not a true loss, because what you're going to gain is even better. What you're going to gain is even better. Okay. I lost what I thought was going to be an amazing relationship. If you're just now joining me, you're going to want to rewind and discover the trauma I went through in my second marriage. But anyway, I'm in a much better situation. When we feel the feelings, when the universe sends us things on our way that are not quite it, but it's putting us in the feeling of it. Every time that I get all excited and juicy about meeting a person, I'm emitting more energy that I am ready to meet the person who's going to forever make me feel juicy. Okay. So allow the situations. This is the one. Oh my God. Let's say I text my sister. Oh my God, Sarah, I just met this guy. It's so amazing. Everything's been wonderful. And I can't believe it. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, yeah, we're not talking anymore. I've been there, okay? But what you say is, yeah, he's out the picture, so that means someone else is coming in, and it gets to feel even juicier. Like we have to focus on the better instead of the bad, okay? And again, nothing's really bad because bad shows you the beauty of the better. Everything we experience is helping us move towards what the direction it is that we want, and we have to trust that. And when you spend just a little bit of time looking back, and you spend a little bit of time looking at the fact that you are so freaking privileged, you are watching a video of somebody talking on a screen, on a device, you're a person who talked in another state from you, like just go back, what, I don't know, like I know I'm a history teacher, but like what, 1,000 years? They're living in caves. I don't know. Maybe not 1,000 years, but like people used to have to mail things. They had to write letters. They had to use their hand with ink on paper and put it in an envelope. And then you had to stamp the envelope, and then you had to put it in the mailbox, and you had to trust that someone else was going to take that little piece of paper and give it to somebody else in some other place. Even that system alone. To the people who never had a mail system, who didn't even know that other people lived in other parts of the world. We know that there's a big old world. Can you imagine being a person born before we knew that the world was as big as it was? All you knew is what was right here in front of you. All you knew is what you could walk to, not fly to, not boat to, maybe boat to if you lived near the water. But you get what I'm saying. Like I remember just 2 years ago, I was hiking in North Carolina with my nieces and nephews. And I'm like, there are people that have never experienced this. There are people who never got to walk in these beautiful woods with these tree leaves that are changing color from green to orange. And then it's like floating down a river, and I'm on the edge of a cliff looking out at this immense beauty. And there are people who will never get to see that, who never have seen it, who never will see it in this lifetime. And I am so blessed and privileged that I could stand on this cliff right now and behold the magnificent beauty in front of me of these trees, of this mountain, of this beautiful river. Some people will never get to experience that. How freaking blessed am I? How freaking blessed am I? Like that is the energy of what gets us moving towards even more. Even more. How, and then let's talk about that. Another hot topic. Yeah, I make $50,000, $60,000 a month. I make so much money, I can throw my food away. I make so much money, I spend $10 on organic ice cream. I make so much money away, I can give away the $100 items I have purchased for my baby onto Facebook Marketplace. I don't have to resell it. I don't have to get my money back from it. I can just give it away. I make so much money, I renovated my entire house with cash. I make so much money, I bought a desk that can go all the way up and all the way down. I make so much money, I bought 2 monitors. I make so much money, I bought a virtual whiteboard that I can put behind me with a picture. I make so much money. And we are so freaking scared to talk about that because how many people do, and how many of you are like, oh my God, starting to feel a little bit, damn, this girl's a little braggy. or damn, this person, and like, how could they just, like, I saw it happen. I saw it happen in a Facebook group where a mother had posted, I spent, $1,000 on the baby decorations and I'm trying to save a little bit of money on the food. What are your ideas for food for this many people? And this woman goes, how can you brag about that? Can you just say you need food ideas? Why do you have to say that you spent $1,000 on decorations? You have no sympathy for the other people who have to read that and don't have $1,000 for decorations. And I'm like, yeah. You could focus on that. But like, that's how privileged we are too, that we can, like, hello, you can take time to decorate your house and have a birthday party for your child. Your child. Like, there are people in other places. Imagine a child who doesn't get a birthday. Like, we are so beyond privileged and blessed. But anyway, I tell this person, and I'm like, just so you know, I spent $2,000 on the photography. I think close to 3,000 on the photography of my baby's birth. Between the maternity shoot, my baby's birth, I spent $3,000. Should I not say that because it might offend someone else who doesn't have $3,000 to spend on photography? Like, where it really puts you in a tricky spot when you boldly talk about spending money. Rich people are evil. Rich people are so bad. If we could just take away Elon's money, he could feed all the hungry people in the world. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about if Elon Musk was to feed everybody. How would he do it? He would have to hire people. Can we trust all the people? We already know that governments have not trustworthy people who will do whatever they can to take advantage of the system. And so the money that he's paying to feed the poor is going into some company that has to manage it, some form of something. And within that department can be people who take advantage. Like, stop trying to spend rich people's money for them. And stop hating people who have money, and stop looking at the negative side of I don't have that much money either. There were times I didn't have enough money. I've been jealous of what I've seen other people spend. I've been jealous before. I was like, oh my God, they have enough money to do that. Like, God, like I don't even have enough money to, whatever it was. But you know what? I've always had enough money to live somewhere. I've always had enough money to eat. I've always had enough money to spend money on like clothes that I like or like my color. Like there are people who don't get to pick out what kind of clothes they even have, let alone like what color they are, and when we gotta stop. Like, we're hiding because there's so much fear in the world of all of these things. Like, we hate people who have money. And so how can we be a person who hates money when we hate people who have money? We see them as evil. We see it as bad. Like, I had beliefs that people with money were bad or evil or wrong. And I would even say they should spend their money on this. And how dare them live? How dare Jeff Bezos buy a $30 million yacht? Like, okay. The more I hate money, the less it's going to come. Just see it as neutral. And what can you do? Instead of attacking someone else who has money, why don't you go like begin to receive money? Because it's really not that hard to begin to receive money. It's just an energetic match for what you're putting out. But why don't you go do it and you start a charity? Like you have as much access to money as he does. I know people are going to fight me on that, but I don't believe in the real world shit anymore. Okay. I believe in the magnetic, energetic stuff. And we have just as much access to as much money as Bezos has. Everyone has the ability to do that. Everyone has the access to it. There are all kinds of rags to riches story. We don't see a lot of them, and then we want to make a big old protest about you shouldn't talk about people like that. Okay? Oh, how dare you? That person was born this way and in this situation. Like, yes, but they can be an energetic match for the things that they want. They don't have to follow the rules of this place. Like we're learning from Melanie Ann Layer, is one of the people that I follow. And she's offering this new, she has a masterclass coming out, and I'd recommend everybody go sign for it. Search Alpha Femme or Melanie Ann Layer New Wave. And she's having this masterclass, and she's talking about if I could only make money based on what I'm capable of, I wouldn't make very much. Like if money only came from the thing we can do in 1 hour, there's not enough that we can do to ever really make as much money as we need to make. But she relies on making money from her impact, from her energy going out, from the lives that she's able to touch. She's like, I don't focus on how much I am capable of making money for. I focus on what am I putting out into the world that is helping other people, and then helping those people who's helping more people, who's helping more people. And I trust that my money will come from that. I trust that my ability to take care of myself will come from that. And go after that. Like the impact I'm having on people who need a stable career to make a good amount of money to change their entire financial history. I've seen insurance change people's entire financial history. And I and have a business that is teaching people how to do those things, and they are being able to make so much more money and have a much better family life. Like, we hate money and we need money. We have to make it okay to have money. We have to make it okay that we want money, and we have to not be so mad at money, because there were times money wasn't there when we wished we had money, and so we spend time being mad at money. We gotta love it, and we gotta. You can bring her in here. She's hungry. Not my baby. She's exclusively breastfed, so mommy's on milk duty forever. But I think I was telling the story of how, look, we're going to tell the story of how your daddy, say hi. Oh, look at you. Okay. Which I would do.
She took the pacifier.
Oh, yay.
The time she was sleeping.
Oh, good job. All right, let me have that. Okay. Create your own abundance. I'm going to see if she's going to tolerate this, but okay. We're just talking about her daddy, David, okay? So him and I we were living in the Airbnb, and it was like $4,000 a month to keep the Airbnb. And I had come up with the idea of selling my videos in packages instead of one-off videos. I thought I had to. You love when Mama's talking. I thought I had to make cleaner videos, like different videos. I thought I had to do a lot more work in order to be able to sell courses. But I ended up using the library of videos that I had to create courses, and then I was selling courses instead of random off videos. And because I was also getting frustrated at the time, the other business idea that I had to make money was working with people one-on-one, like giving them a one-on-one royal treatment. They would pay me $1,000. I would work with them as they were studying. And I had a few different people sign on right around the same time. And it became a lot of work, like a lot more than I had anticipated. And I was finding myself pretty frustrated with getting on the phone and working and my business and trying to, take care of myself. I was getting a little frustrated. And so that's when you need to do something different. There's a different business direction you need to take, and it may not be the direction you think it needs to be. Just trust that it's going to come. Every time I tried to make new videos so that I could finally sell a course, because I was unwilling to see that what I already had in front of me, right? We don't often see what we have in front of us. I had computer problem after computer problem of trying to record those videos. Like, it was like nonstop computer problems, and I was getting more and more frustrated. And then I finally just had to let it go. And oh, y'all done? You okay? Hey, Jen. Mm-hmm. She seems all right. She had a little bit. So anyway, I thought I had to do a lot more work in order to make more money, in order to do something else. And I was having problem after problem of it not working out. It wasn't working out. Oh, she does want the mamas. Oh, maybe that? Okay.
Want that back?
Okay. So month after month of, or situation after situation of it not working out, we think that we're on the wrong path. But the thing is if the universe allows the wrong thing to be right, then you don't get to the thing you actually want. What I mean by that is I wanted to be able to not have to work very hard to make more money. And I had a belief that I had to work harder to make more money. If the working harder worked, then I wouldn't be living the life of I don't have to work hard to make money. So it had to be hard for me to wake up to the fact that I was doing it hard, that in order to have it be done easier, I have to turn my whiteboard back on. Look how privileged I am. I got a little virtual whiteboard behind me. Blessed and grateful I am. If the working harder worked, then what we want can't happen. So here's another reason I know that I'm on the verge of a 6-figure month. I think she needs to eat, so I gotta go. But I'll come back later. It's been about 45 minutes. So I love you all.